Hey there, we are live. My name is Taylor. I am with Hacking Company at Remax River City, and I want to welcome you to our review of the Realtors Association of Edmonton's market stats that were released summarizing March. We're going to talk a little bit through the stats package, and we're also going to share, our experience from being on the front lines of real estate. In fact, let's bring the best teammates in Edmonton on screen here. We have a series of people joining me today. I'm excited to see you guys all. This is what motivates me to come to work every day. I love the way that you save people from 3-star experiences in real estate because, let's be honest, those are the most prevalent experiences in real estate. And let's kind of talk through it a little bit. I have to touch on this first. Cordell, what an incredible March, right? Teammate of the month, high production. What does it feel like to be killing it in real estate?
Kind of sounds cliche, but it's almost like a dream come true. You know, you embark on a new career and you don't know if you're going to fail or not. So like to actually be doing it and not failing feels pretty good.
Well, that's super awesome. Any specific highlights stick out to you for March?
Honestly, just being able to, like, I've helped 2 different couples now that are my age. So it's really cool to help first-time home buyers that are my age through the process because they are pretty young. So just being able to like connect with them on a different level because we're the same age feels pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of neat when you get to have an experience with somebody that you can see the roles maybe being reversed, right? And really, it comes with part of being an expert because it must feel nice to know that you're like a worthy guide, right?
Yep.
Well, that's awesome, and keep going. We've also got tons of what are you guys doing? Like, do you put something in your breakfast? Is there something that's going on here? Amy, you've got a fistful of listings coming to the market. So you must have been talking to people for like weeks and months about this spring market that was coming.
Absolutely. It is very important for me to be talking to them ahead of time because I can help them time the market for their kind of product.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of the established buyers and sellers that you work with in Southwest Edmonton, they really are part of that group that comes to the market at this time of year, right? They're looking to upgrade?
Yep, that is the majority of my buyers.
That's fantastic. Anything that you're specifically excited about that you can even talk about this early? Do you have something like, I know that you've had a couple of listings in the past that were remarkable. And is there anything right now that you're like, this is something Edmonton doesn't see very often?
All right. Well, I'm actually going to talk about one that's coming up in Devon. So it's outside of Edmonton, but very, very close. And I have the most desirable location in Devon coming up. It is right next to the river valley. So things like this don't come up all the time. And it's definitely one that we're expecting to have a lot of traffic.
That's fantastic. And keep them coming. We all love good inventory. And if you guys want to know more about that, then you can call our fast agent hotline at 780-909-6770. We don't want to leave you waiting for a call back from somebody else. That's why we know that an individual generalist cannot compete with a group of specialists, right? Like when it takes when you see all the things that we do to bring great properties to the market and get the results that you see as we put up sold sign after sold sign, this is how it happens. And we're not all here. Like we're licensed agents that can talk to you about real estate, but like Jane isn't here, Jay is not here, Brianna's not here. We have a whole team in the back that makes all of this happen. Craig, you have also been action-packed with listings. I think you set a personal best for listing value in the last month here. What are your thoughts when it comes to helping sellers in our market right now?
Well, right now, we all know that the spring market is the peak of real estate. Everybody waits for the spring. Snow is pretty well gone, except I'm looking out the window. I'm seeing some flurries here, hoping that goes away. But now that weather is looking really, really good, buyers are out, they're looking. So the spring market is what sellers dream about, and it's here.
That's awesome. Now, Cordell, I know that you just recently changed to your not winter tires. Nervous?
Yes, sir, I did.
I had to hold off. I've only got summers and winters. I don't even have all seasons. So this stuff, I'm so glad that I still have my winter tires on right now. 'Cause who knows? I could end up in Devon with Amy.
If you're lucky enough.
And Craig, I was actually out with friends last week, and they were talking about your listing in Salisbury Village in Sherwood Park. So obviously our marketing works.
Our marketing works, and that is one beautiful home, custom built with all the bells and whistles. If it was a car, that is beyond fully loaded. So pop on realtor.ca, look in Salisbury Village, you'll see for yourself.
That's awesome. And Anthony D'Souza, you've been working with people moving up in and around St. Albert, a little bit in the West End. Is it true that you've walked through everything that's been active on the market between 450 and 650?
Yeah, pretty safe to say that that's definitely been the case. If you've got a house for sale in the Hamptons or Glastonbury, I've been in it. Same thing for St. Albert. We're looking for those renovated bungalows or really nice 2 stories in that 450 to 650 range. And I seem to be at day zero on all of those properties right now.
And is it true that you were car camping in Kingswood the other day? I heard you might just live there with all the properties you've been seeing in that neighborhood.
Yeah, it's neat to be able to walk through properties before they get listed, and then be able to help people, navigate the things that they should do to bring their property to the market effectively. And yeah, we've got some really great properties coming in the late spring, early summer.
That's fantastic. Well, I know that you will be bringing some great listings to us in the market, and you're going to help some of these buyers steal some of this good inventory as it comes out. But before we get into the Realtors Association of Edmonton stats package, let's get into a 1-sentence market review. Okay? So give me the experience from the front lines of real estate in 1 sentence. Let's start with Craig.
We have transitioned from a buyer's market to a balanced market.
So when it comes to the relationships of buyers and sellers, buyers were having the advantage in the winter, and now we have moved quite a bit. So we might be reading a balanced market, but do you guys feel like it's a balanced market?
It just depends where you're at, essentially. There's some areas where it definitely feels like a seller's market. There are so many people there and the demand is just so high. And others, it seems a little bit more balanced.
I saw a lot of other head shakes. Anybody else want to weigh in there? What does it feel like?
Greg said, it really depends on which neighborhood the properties that you're looking at are, because there's definitely a pocket in certain places like in St. Albert or in the West End where, if you're not there on day zero, you're probably going to miss out, and there's still lots of multiple offers happening.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say that it doesn't feel like a buyer's market because most of the stuff on the market, I'm sorry if this applies to anybody out there, but a lot of the stuff that's over the winter has been inconsistent. And I see good properties, but the way buyers see overpriced properties? They see it as junk. If you're inconsistent with the market, it means that they're walking through your property and other new listings at the same price that just blow you out of the water. The new listings are your biggest threat if you've been on the market for a while. And if you've been on the market more than 60 days with no price changes, that is evidence. That is evidence that the market is not responding. So we know that these new listings are going to be coming faster than they did over the last couple of months, and they just stack on top of you, stealing your attention. So hopefully that helps some people out there make some adjustments, get consistent with the market. We want to see you get what you want, right? Even if it's not with us. With us, it'll probably be a great experience. And there are some other great agents out there as well. So we do definitely want to see those buyers and sellers get to the places they want to be. Let's keep going with this 1-sentence market review. Amy, what do you see?
I would say demand is up. So we're calling inventory to the market. It's time to get to the market if you have a property to sell.
I totally agree. In every economic model, it's demand that calls supply to the market, and demand is calling right now. So those sellers get to the market. I think you guys are bringing like a handful of listings this week. So way to go. Some people should be looking at our social media tomorrow. If you're already signed in on our website, you're going to get advance notice today. But if you're hanging out just on social media, if you're like the rest of the people that are just kind of watching and not necessarily engaging, well, watch tomorrow. You're going to learn about some stuff that's not yet on MLS. Let's go over to Anthony. Anthony, one sentence market review.
You know, a lot of listings come in, over 30% more listings in March than there were in February. It's exciting to see all the properties come into the market.
So this will change a little bit. Like those people that aren't going to get to the market until like the end of May, they're going to be arriving with their competition. But good news for buyers, I guess, hey?
Definitely.
Cordell, one sentence market review.
Pricing matters, especially in a market like this where so many listings are coming to the market and they're putting the old listings in the shadows. Sellers need to be priced accordingly to get the attention they want.
I totally agree. And I guess my one sentence would be year over year is somewhat deceiving, right? We're going to be talking a lot about year over year as we go through the Realtors Association. And I've been a realtor now for 10 years. I know it looks like 30. It's had a large. I'm high mileage. It's rough, but the truth is that last year at this time was a record market, and we may be heading towards a record market. Like when you look at condos as an indicator, that might be happening. But when we look year over year, that may lead some people to be in the spot that Cordell mentioned and be pricing into the shadows and not being seen by the people that will actually buy them. Well, let's get into the mix and talk a little bit about these numbers. I'm going to pull them up on screen, and then we can kind of go back and forth on them. Let's first talk about what sales have been happening. So sales, as far as it goes, let's decode this. I'm going to pick on somebody. Let's go with, let's start with Amy. Amy always likes to go first. So Amy, what do you see when it comes to sales?
I'm looking at that month over month number that it's up 42.3%. And this is exactly what I would be expecting in April.
So month over month, we're rising, right? But year over year, we're down. Mm-hmm. Anybody have any comments on that?
I'd say this is what we were expecting as well with a record breaking year last year.
Yeah, last year, people were trying to outrun the interest rates, right? And what do we have, like 7 interest rate changes last year when you take a look at the Bank of Canada?
Too many.
Yeah. Well, we're going to close today doing some bold predictions because the Bank of Canada meets again tomorrow. So it'll be interesting that way. But I definitely see what you're talking about. Let's talk about how that translates to things like new listings. New listings, Craig, what do you see here?
Again, just like Amy's mentioning, month over month, and Tony gave out this stat a little bit earlier. Over 30% more listings came to the market last month. Again, it's the beginning of the spring market in March. Even though we still had some snow, we're expecting to see some more listings come this month and next month as well.
Yeah, so for those people that were watching the market last year and maybe not participating, they might be thinking that there's going to be this similar number of opportunities this year. And I got to say, if you sleep on it, you might not get to sleep in it. Anybody else have any notes on what's happening when it comes to new listings?
I have buyers right now that don't think there's many listings, right? Because the area that they're looking in might be really specific based on maybe a school zone that their kids need to be in. And so I've been able to help decode that a little bit and let them know that there has been actually a lot more listings last month than the month before. And there's lots of stuff for sale, but there might not be the type of properties that they're looking for in that specific area. And so knowing that we have all the tools to be notified when those properties come to market, we'll be ready. And now they're starting to see it like almost like a daily or at least a weekly cadence of properties in their search coming up.
And that's one thing that a lot of people don't know. If you're scrolling on realtor.ca, catching stuff when you have a chance, you are not going to be there on day 0. Cordell, can you explain to us what day 0 is?
Day 0 is the absolute first day that it is public on the MLS. And if a lot of times, if it's a hot property on that first day, that property could pop into 300 different people's searches, which means if you don't see it on that very first day 0, yeah, like you said, there's a likely chance that you're not going to be able to sleep in it.
And all those people that get notified, this is what they actually hear. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. Right? Like, it's like that IKEA commercial from like a decade ago. I'm super old. Start the car, right? You guys remember that one?
Yep.
So, Tony, that's a really good segue that you're talking a little bit about inventory, because like a lot of people looking from the outside, there's 6,300 properties for sale. Doesn't that mean I have 6,300 options?
I mean, if you're open to living anywhere in the greater Edmonton area, sure, but with an unlimited budget, right? But it's likely when we set up searches for people, if they're looking for a condo on the south side, they might have 300 options, right, at a given price point. But if they're looking for a specific school zone, like I mentioned earlier, they might have 3 in that area.
I totally agree. Now, when each of you are doing your buying blueprints, so when we meet new buyers, we reveal the market to them through setting up their property buying blueprint. We want to have success with them. And not only do they see what everybody else can see, which is like what's on the shelf right now, but we wind back time to show them how often these properties that they're looking for arrive to the market at this time of year, in the place they want to live, at the price they want to pay, right? And that's going to give them so much more information. When you guys are doing these buying blueprints, how many options are you seeing once you put in somebody's criteria? Are they having like a dozen properties to see right now? Is it only 2?
It really depends on what they're looking at. So I've had people that are starting with a kind of wide criteria and they might have 50, but then I have people who are very specific about exactly what they want, and there might be 0 or there might be 2 or 3. Kind of depends.
What about you, Craig?
Yeah, I actually just had one of these consultations about a week and a half ago, where we sat down and there was 11 options within the zone they wanted to be in at the price point. But after we viewed the properties like together through the pictures, there was only true 2 contenders. So even though there may be more options available to you, what kind of condition are they in? Do you actually want to move into a home like that? That's something you have to take into consideration as well.
And how long have they been on the market? So here's some information on what's going on with average days on market. Craig, can you give us a definition? What do we mean when we say average days on market?
Average days on market is how long it takes from that day 0 to a very firm sale, and then add them all up, and that's divided by the amount, and then you have the average days on market.
And Amy, what do you see when you take a look at this graph? Because this is what the public's going to see, and they're going to see this year compared to last year. Can you give us some notes?
First glance, it looks as though days on market is up just a little bit in some areas and quite a few days in other areas over last year.
That's awesome. And so what kind of notes, like, why do you think that is? Tony, decode that a little bit. Especially with these detached dwellings. It looks like they're sitting around here forever this year.
Yeah, I mean, last year there was so much attention, like we talked about with interest rates, that people were sitting on pre-approvals and really needed to get going. And so it was almost like any property that got listed was sold within 2 to 3 weeks of it coming to the market if it was priced well. And so this year we're just seeing maybe people not as in a rush. Maybe they don't feel as much pressure. Maybe they feel like there's a lot of inventory depending on where they're at. So properties aren't moving just as quickly. But last year it felt like if you weren't fully in tune with everything, like you were definitely going to miss out. Where this year you might have a little bit more time.
Does everybody else agree with that?
Definitely.
Yeah. I think that the big story this year is probably going to be the difference in the condo market, right? Like we've been saying that's been softening. How long have we been talking about the thawing in the condo market?
Seems like forever.
Yeah, it must have been really frozen because it's taken forever. It's like when you put the chicken out on the counter and it's like, you go see it an hour later, it looks like there's no change. So let's get a little bit further into that and break down. I guess we'll start with the all residential. This is what we're talking about with all residential pricing. Cordell, what do you see?
Well, month over month, we're up both in average and median. Year over year, we are down, but that's because last year was a record-breaking month. But keep in mind that this isn't the average price at $390,000 isn't the cost of the average home in Edmonton.
Okay, bring it home to us bring it to us on that. What do you mean? Average price is not the average house?
No, because you could have, let's say you have 50 homes that sell. You could have a few in the very low end, and then you could have a few that are $1 million. But if there's 50, you have to add all the prices up, divide it by 50, and that's where you get that number.
All right. So, Amy, if we were saying basically to anybody watching this, how should they see this number? If it's not the price of the average house, what would this indicate more than anything else?
I just think it shows where the appetite is in the market. That would be my general advice.
So this is where buyer activity is most prevalent, because when you're talking about sale price, you have to have sales for that to happen. So right now, the greater Edmonton area is attracting a whole bunch of people that are moving here from other places. Are those people moving here and buying luxury properties? Are those people moving here and renting properties so that more condos are selling because there's less that are available? Though that's going to be like where this is, where we're seeing impact in our market. And honestly, when we see what was happening last year, a lot of the people that were making changes last year were unaffected by COVID, meaning that their incomes were stable. They didn't need any government help that would disqualify them from potentially getting a mortgage qualification. So we saw a lot of the action further up the pipe, and that was in detached dwellings. Let's talk about detached dwellings a little bit more. Anthony, talk us through this.
All right, so according to the statistics in March, the average home price was $486,000 based on what sold in March. And like Cordell mentioned, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what the average house costs. It's just given the the timeline that March had. This is the average of what sold, so the appetite. And when we look at the median, the way median pricing works here is it shows us the middle price of what sold. So that means just as many homes sold under this price, $445, and there's the same amount that sold over this price. So that's just kind of a good reflection to show you that, this is the median price versus the average. And when I look at this, it shows us that month over month, this number has gone up, even for the median as well. But compared to last year at this time, it's just slightly down. And so we see that a lot. A lot of people see in the news that prices have come down in places like BC and Toronto, as much as 20 to 30% in some areas. And that's just not the case here. It's down ever so slightly for overall, but I think there's a lot of happy sellers right now that are getting more than they ever thought was possible.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's coming. I was just taking a look at what's going on in Foxborough because we have a property coming there. And man, the last 3 sales had left the market in under 17 days, and there's nothing available in that neighborhood. So again, I see some neighborhoods like leading the charge when it comes to buyer demand right now, and they're good indicators, but it will slip into the rest of the market because for those people that get pushed out due to price or due to other buyer competition, they end up doing something that we call drive till you qualify, which means that you might not, you can still have the same house, but it may not be in that location. Or if you really do want that location, it just may not be that same house. Now, let's go through the story of semi-detached. Amy, what do you think about when you see this information?
Well, one of the things when it comes to semi-detached is that this category has changed. So this is referring, as I understand it, to duplexes only. Do I have that right?
So Tony was doing all the verification for us on this. So Tony, what does semi-detached mean by definition?
So semi-detached would be a single family home with one shared wall. So we call them half duplexes, or we have in the past side by sides, those types of things, but semi-detached would be a duplex.
So month over month, we're up just ever so slightly, and year over year down just ever so slightly.
And this was kind of interesting because these were some of the hottest properties through COVID, right? like there's not that many half duplexes when you compare them to things like either condos or when you compare them to things like apartment style, detached dwellings. And this was something that we saw was an unprecedented rise during COVID.
Mhm.
And it seems like that trend is still continuing somewhat. They may not be quite as hot as they once were, but really attractive.
It's interesting to me that the average and the median are the same.
Yes, and I think that that's a sign of stability, right?
Mhm.
So when we see a big gap between the average and the median price, that's showing that there's maybe some older inventory that's sitting around longer, or that we see that the market is actually active at a different price than what the over under was, which means that people are actually buying way up market from where we see that over under.
Mhm.
Rows and townhouses. Let's go to Craig on this one.
All righty here. So just so everyone's on the same page, the definition of a row and townhouse is more than one shared wall within a grouping of homes. So whether you're on an end unit or a middle unit, you are within a row house or a townhouse. The difference would be, is there a condo fee? So I believe townhouses are associated with condo fees and row houses are the same building type, just not a part of a condominium grouping here. So the average price in March was $248,000, down month over month and year over year. Same with the median price. So it seems like this is cooling off a little bit compared to where it was last month and last year.
It's kind of funny because row houses and townhouses, we've got graphics for those from the Realtors Association. We've got them for semi-detached. We've got them from detached. But for some reason, apartment-style condos seem to be like the redheaded stepchild. They didn't even make a graphic. So I did crunch the numbers, and what I can tell you is that average price for apartment-style condos was $193,000, and the median is $170,000. So there again, we see that gap between the over-under and what the average is, meaning that there is quite a bit of action further up market from what we see the average price to be. And then what we see as far as where the trend is going is up 2.5% month over month and down 0.5% year over year from what we described as being a very hot market. So again, this is showing that condos are continuing to perform. So we got a few minutes left, and one of the things that's kind of been floating around a little bit is just the talk of how our market is starting to show really good signs for being the best market across Canada. We were left behind. During COVID, we saw things like we saw Vancouver and Toronto outpace everybody. The prices there had gone up at least 50% through the pandemic, which is unreal. Meanwhile, we were damn near flat. And then when we're coming out of COVID, we start to see a little bit more interest. And when you have a healthy biosphere, you get these massive predators. Like where we live in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, we have some of the largest wolves in the world. We have some of the largest bears in the world, and that's because we have some of the largest prey items in the world. When you look at things like caribou and very large deer, those things. And when you see a healthy market, man, you see some incredible shark fins. Like we saw the Yorkton Group. This was news that we had covered previously. They came in and they only had a portfolio of $100 million, mostly invested in real estate in BC. And they made a single purchase in the Edmonton market of $40 million. A lot of people don't know what a REIT is. Cordell, what's a REIT?
So a REIT is a real estate investment trust. So it's set up on public stock markets just like any other stock you can find. And the difference is it's a conglomerate or a board of people who go out and buy real estate. So if you buy a share of a REIT, you're essentially investing in real estate at a very small level.
So it's very accessible as an investor, but when you describe the people that would actually make the decisions, like to pull the trigger on something that would be 40% of their entire portfolio, would you consider these people amateurs or experts?
Experts.
Total analysts, right? And they are leaving BC and they basically just bet the farm on Edmonton, Alberta. That's very interesting to me. And as we kind of close the show here, I want to know when the Bank of Canada meets tomorrow, because they're going to meet, and not only are they going to be discussing the prime lending rate, but this is one of those meetings where the monetary policy report is also going to be published, according to their website, concurrently or at the same time. So we're going to see both information related to monetary policy, and also we are going to see information related to interest rates. And if we do a quick recap of what has been changed, what we see is that, well, really, if we go backwards, in March, they made no change, right? In January, they bumped it by 0.25%. In December, it was 0.5 point. In October, it was 0.5 point. September of last year, we saw 0.75%. So the only thing that we've seen so far is that they either stay even or move up. But obviously, they have the option to move up, stay even, or go down. What are your bold predictions for what we're going to hear by the end of tomorrow related to the Bank of Canada? So, Tony, due to Prezi, I think that appeared backwards. So, Tony says they're going down. There you go. Okay, Tony says they're going down. What do you think, Craig?
I believe they're going to hold firm. I think we're just going to stay baseline. I don't think rates will drop, but actually I was reading an article earlier today where that is the prediction, just like Tony. So maybe I'm off par here.
I think the rates are going to stay the same, especially with the financial situation in the United States and all the correction that's still needing to happen after the pandemic. I don't think the country can afford to lower them or raise them. I think they've found the sweet spot where people are still willing to spend and they're not over leveraged. So they're staying the same. Long answer short.
I believe that they're going to stay the same as well, but I am praying they're going to go down.
That's a good way to put it. I think that stay the same is the new down. I honestly don't see them softening a little bit. I would agree with Cordell that I think that they're just going to hold tight and see what happens, because honestly, you know what? We're very affected by our neighbors. And oh my goodness, is it fun to watch through the glass. Nice place to visit, but I don't know that I would want to live there right now. There's all kinds of stuff going on. But I really appreciate you decoding a little bit of the market stats with us today. Thank you so much. And for those people that tuned in, we really appreciate you as well. There is going to be a lot of action as we go into the spring market. This may be one of the most dynamic spring markets. So thank you, team, for joining me. And if you are looking for more information on this, you can talk to any of our teammates by calling through to our Fast Agent hotline at 780-909-6770. You can call, you can text. We can talk you through information about what's going on at a wide angle, but when we're talking one-on-one, we can actually bring this information home for you and talk exactly what's going on in your neighborhood, give you some great strategy so that we can collectively help you save yourself from 3-star experiences in real estate. My name is Taylor. This is the Hack&Co team at RE/MAX River City, and we are here to help. We want everybody to have great experiences, and we hope you have a fantastic day.
Bye, guys.
See ya.